Your girlfriend posting on social media during a trip with her friends that she just met the right man with a photo and everything. This is the story of a man who saw that post on a Saturday morning, called her, heard that love doesn't work with logic, and hung up. But before he hung up, he'd already made two silent decisions that changed everything.
My girlfriend posted she found the right man on the trip. I canceled the card and blocked the phone. My name is Duncan. I had been dating Priscilla for almost 4 years. We had been living together for 2.5 years. At least from my perspective, I was building something stable. We weren't perfect. We argued over small things. Who forgot to pay the internet? Who left the dishes in the sink? Whether we should save more instead of going out to dinner so often. But nothing that made me think we were on the edge of an ending. Priscilla had always been sociable. She had a tight-knit group of friends from college. I never had a problem with that. Occasional trips, birthdays, group outings, completely normal. Everything changed about 6 months ago. She got laid off. She worked in digital marketing at a small agency that had started having financial problems. On a Friday afternoon, they called her in for a meeting and told her they were downsizing. Her position would be eliminated. I remember that day perfectly. She came home with her eyes red from crying, frustrated, confused, worried about money. I tried to reassure her. I said these things happened and that she would find something soon. She had experience and good references. The first few weeks were normal. Updated resume, interviews, selection processes, but after a while things started stalling. One company said she was overqualified for the position. Another chose someone with more experience in a specific area. Some places didn't even respond. As the months went by, she started losing motivation. She spent more time at home, on her phone, watching shows. Some mornings she would wake up late. Others, she said she was too stressed to send more applications that day. I didn't blame her. Job searching can be emotionally exhausting. Meanwhile, I was paying for practically everything: rent, bills, food, gas, subscriptions, without complaining. Supporting someone through hard times was part of what a relationship meant to me. She always said that when she got a job, she would make up for everything. But the months kept passing. 4 months, 5 months, nothing changed. Around the 6th month, she brought up the trip. One evening at dinner, she mentioned that her friends were planning a short trip, a few days in a nearby tourist city. Beach, restaurants, going out at night, disconnecting a little from the routine. "Think I need this," she said. "Been months since I felt anything but stuck." The idea was to relax for a few days and come back with a clearer head to resume the job search with renewed energy. At first, I hesitated, not because I didn't want her to travel, but the financial situation was delicate. But watching her feel deflated for months had been hard. If that trip genuinely helped her shake herself loose and come back with a different attitude, maybe it was worth it. I agreed. I paid for the flights, and I lent her one of my credit cards for emergencies during the trip. I told her to only use it if necessary. She was very grateful. In the days that followed, she talked a lot about the trip. She showed me photos of the hotel, places they wanted to visit, bars with good reviews. She was excited again, something I hadn't seen from her in months. She told me several times that when she got back, she was going to focus completely on finding a job. "It's going to be like a fresh start," she said one night. On the Thursday of the trip, I drove her to the airport early. Her friends were already there. All of them talking, laughing, drinking coffee while they waited to board. Priscilla gave me a long hug. "Thank you for this," she said. She sent me a few photos by message, the view from the hotel. A huge pool, a plate of seafood at a restaurant. It looked like a typical trip. On Friday night, she also wrote to me. She said they had gone to a bar near the hotel and the place was packed with tourists. On Saturday morning, everything changed. I woke up around 8 and checked my phone. There were several Instagram notifications, among them one saying Priscilla had posted a story. I opened it without thinking much about it.
And this detail right here is important. She didn't send him a private message first. This wasn't a private slip. It was a public post, visible to anyone who followed her, including him. This isn't impulsive. This is a deliberate choice to publicly humiliate.
At first, I thought it was a joke, one of those phrases people post on vacation to seem funny, but something about the context bothered me. I went to check if there were more stories. There were. This time it was a short video. Priscilla and the same man toasting with glasses. She was laughing. His profile was tagged. Out of curiosity, I went to his profile. A man apparently around our age. Photos of travel, motorcycles, parties, beaches. The type of profile of someone who spends a lot of time in tourist spots. I sent her a message. Simple. "Everything okay?" 20 minutes. No response. Then I received a message from Laura, one of Priscilla's friends who was also on the trip. We knew each other but didn't have much contact beyond hellos at gatherings. The message said, "Hi, Duncan. I don't want to get into something that isn't my business, but I think you should talk to Priscilla." I asked what was going on. She took a few minutes, then responded, "She's very wrapped up with the guy she met last night." I asked her to explain further. Laura took longer this time. Then sent another message. She met him at a bar. Since then, she's barely left his side. This morning, she went to the beach with him. I felt something tight starting to form in my chest. I asked if she was certain. Laura said yes, and added something that caught me completely off guard. "I think she's considering staying longer." Staying longer meant changing flights, paying for more hotel, reorganizing everything. I wrote immediately to Priscilla, "What's going on?" several minutes before she responded. The response was short. "I'm busy. We'll talk later." Just that. I stared at my phone for a few seconds. Then, about an hour later, she posted another story. The new story clearly showed a beach, white sand, the sea in the background. The video appeared to have been recorded by someone else because it showed Priscilla and the same man walking together. She was wearing a light beach dress. He was wearing a white t-shirt and sunglasses. They were laughing. For a few seconds they walked toward the water. Then he pulled her by the waist. She didn't pull away. On the contrary, she leaned in and kissed him. The video lasted 8 or 9 seconds, but it was enough to understand exactly what was happening. Written over the video in white letters, "Love knocks on your door when you least expect it." I stared at the screen for several seconds without reacting. I had seen a lot of strange things on the internet, exaggerated stories, people behaving ridiculously, but I had never imagined I would see something like this posted by the person I had shared my life with for 4 years. I felt disbelief first, then a clear mix of anger and something difficult to describe. It wasn't just jealousy. It was the feeling of being disrespected publicly and deliberately. It wasn't a private conversation. It wasn't a mistake. It was a post visible to anyone who followed her. I took several deep breaths, then I called her. The phone rang. I thought she wasn't going to answer, but she answered. "Hey." The post, as if absolutely nothing strange was happening. "Priscilla," I said. "I just saw your story." Brief silence. Then she sighed. "Yeah, I figured you would. What does this mean?" Another small silence. Then she spoke in a tone I wasn't expecting. She didn't sound embarrassed. She didn't sound nervous. She sounded resigned. "I'm sorry, Duncan." "You're sorry," I repeated. "I just watched a video of you kissing another man. Explain what's going on." She took a few seconds to respond. "Things just happened," she finally said. "Love is like that sometimes." For a moment I thought I had misheard. "Love is like that." "Yes." Her voice was still strangely calm. "Duncan, I met someone. I know it seems bad, but I can't ignore what I'm feeling." I was silent for a few seconds. "You're telling me you met a guy last night at a bar, and now you're saying it's love." "I'm not saying I'm in love yet," she responded, "but I'm feeling something very strong." I felt my patience starting to break. "Priscilla, we've been together for 4 years. I know. You live with me. I know. I've been paying for practically everything for 6 months." Silence. "I know, Duncan." "Then explain to me how you can post something like that," she sighed. "Because I don't want to keep pretending." That left me completely thrown. "Pretending. You and I haven't been doing well," she said. "We just neither of us wanted to say it out loud." "That's not true. Maybe not for you." Her tone remained strangely serene. "Things changed a long time ago. When I lost my job, everything became different. I felt stuck, lost, like I was living the wrong life."
And here is the classic pattern of someone who can't handle emotional responsibility, turning their own internal crisis into a justification for a decision they had already made. She wasn't unhappy because of the relationship. She was unhappy, and she found someone to redirect that feeling toward.
"And then I came on this trip," she continued, "and I met someone who made me feel alive again. Are you listening to what you're saying?" "I am." "And it doesn't seem insane to you." "Maybe it is," she responded, "but I can't control what I feel." Short pause. "Love doesn't work with logic." That's when my patience ran out completely. "Priscilla, this isn't love. You met this guy less than 24 hours ago." She didn't respond immediately. When she spoke, her voice was firmer. "I don't care who is against this." The line caught me off guard. "What?" "My friends are also angry with me," she said. "We had a fight this morning." "Why?" "Because they say I'm ruining the trip." "And what happened?" "They left. They moved to a different hotel." That left me without a response for a few seconds. "You're alone?" "I am." "And you're okay with that?" "I am, because at least I'm being honest with myself." I didn't know if I was talking to the same person I had known for 4 years. "Priscilla," she cut me off. "Duncan, listen to me." Her tone was now more direct. "I don't want to fight with you." "Then stop saying absurd things." "They're not absurd." Brief silence. Then she said something I still remember word for word. "Just let me be a free spirit." The phrase sounded so strange that for a moment I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. "Let me live this," she continued. "And you, forget about me." Small pause. "When I get back home, we can say a proper goodbye." Those were her last words. Then she hung up. I stared at my phone for several seconds. Everything had happened too fast. The entire conversation had lasted less than 10 minutes. 4 years of a relationship summed up in an absurd phone call from a beach. I sat in silence for a while. Then I started thinking. There was something I couldn't get out of my head. Over the past 6 months, I had paid for practically everything. The apartment, the food, the bills. I had also paid for her flight on this trip and lent her one of my credit cards for emergencies. And there was one more thing. The iPhone she was using to record those videos. I had bought it for her as a birthday present the previous year. It was still linked to my account. At that moment, I made a decision. It was very clear. I opened the banking app. I canceled the card Priscilla had in her digital wallet. Then I went into my Apple account, found the device registered in her name, and blocked it. The whole thing took less than 10 minutes. I put the phone down on the table. I slept surprisingly well that night. The next morning, around 9, my phone started ringing. "Unknown number," I answered. Priscilla's voice came out immediately on the other end. Very different from the night before. This time she sounded nervous. "What did you do? What are you referring to?" My phone doesn't work. She sounded agitated. I tried to call several times. It says it's blocked. I waited a few seconds before responding. Yes. Brief silence. You canceled the card too? Yes. This time the silence was longer. When she spoke again, her tone was no longer calm. Duncan, why did you do that? Do you really need me to explain? Yes. She sounded angry now. I'm in another country and I have no money. That sounds complicated. I can't pay for the hotel. I understand. The card doesn't work anywhere. I know. Her breathing got heavier. How am I supposed to get home? I waited a few seconds before responding. Then I said exactly what I was thinking. I don't know. Total silence on the other end. Then I added, ask your right man, and I hung up. I went straight to the bedroom. The apartment was still full of her things. Clothes in the closet, shoes in the hallway, makeup in the bathroom, books she had never finished reading on the nightstand. I simply grabbed a large box I had stored in the closet and started putting her things in it: t-shirts, dresses, shoes, cosmetics. Then another box. Then another. I worked like that for almost 2 hours. When I finished, there were 5 boxes stacked near the door. Priscilla had made it clear she wanted to be a free spirit, so I figured the best thing was for her belongings to also be free to leave my house. I was sitting in the living room when I heard loud banging on the door. I opened it. It was Priscilla's father, a man in his mid-50s, with a strong temperament, who always spoke as if he were giving orders. This time, he was clearly furious. He didn't even greet me. You're a coward, he said immediately. You abandoned my daughter. I didn't respond. I simply opened the door a little wider. Good thing you came, I said. Now you can take her things. He stared at me for a few seconds, confused by my response. Then he looked into the apartment and saw the boxes. What is this? Her things. I turned, picked up the first box and carried it to the door, left it in the hallway, went back for the next one. Priscilla's father got even angrier. You canceled her cards? He asked in an aggressive tone. How is she supposed to get back now? I didn't respond. I picked up another box and carried it to the door. I'm talking to you. I kept walking. Are you deaf? I put another box in the hallway. That's when he completely lost his patience. He lunged at me. I took the hit and stepped back. I put distance between us. Take the boxes, I said. My eye was starting to hurt. I knew it was probably going to bruise. I didn't respond to what he said. I didn't care anymore. I don't care one bit about your daughter, I said. The little man here is you, coming to ask me for money. Don't you have money to go pick up your little princess yourself? He was shaking with anger, but he finally started picking up the boxes. One by one, he took them down to his pickup truck. We didn't speak again. When he left, I closed the door. I went to the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. My eye was already swollen. I took a photo. After thinking for a few minutes, I left the apartment and went straight to the nearest police station. I had no intention of starting a massive legal battle, but I also wasn't going to ignore the fact that someone had assaulted me inside my own home. I filed a simple police report for assault, nothing more. The days that followed were strangely quiet. Priscilla didn't call me again. I figured she was sorting out her situation somehow. A few days later, I received a message from Laura, the friend who had warned me during the trip. She told me what had happened. The right man had stayed with Priscilla for a few days after she separated from her friends. They went to parties, went around the city, spent time together at the beach. But after 3 or 4 days, the guy simply vanished. He stopped responding to messages. He stopped answering calls. According to Laura, none of the friend group ever saw him again. Priscilla was left alone, without the guy, without her friends nearby, without money. A few days later, she came back to the city. She didn't try to talk to me. I wasn't interested either. The police report ran its course. Since there was evidence of the assault and the incident had occurred in the building, Priscilla's father had to resolve the matter legally. In the end, he had to pay compensation for the assault. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was enough to close the matter. Since then, I haven't heard anything about Priscilla. And honestly, I have no interest in hearing anything. 4 years of a relationship ended in the most absurd way possible because of an Instagram story on a beach and someone who believed that unexpected love was more important than reality.
I need to be direct here. She had been unemployed for 6 months. He paid for everything. The rent, the food, the bills. He paid for the flight on the trip. He lent her the card for emergencies. And she used that trip to publicly post that she had found the right man. She didn't message him first. She didn't try to have a conversation. She posted, with a photo, with a tag, visible to everyone. And when he called, the response was that love doesn't work with logic and that he should let her be a free spirit. He didn't shout. He didn't beg. He didn't send message after message. He canceled the card. He blocked the iPhone. He slept well. The right man vanished in 4 days. She came back without the guy, without her friends, without money, and without the apartment. And her father still showed up to go after the man who had been bankrolling his daughter for 6 months. Sometimes life doesn't need an elaborate revenge plan. It just needs you to stop paying the bill.